Namaste and Jule. First of all, I want to express my gratitude and want to say that I'm most impressed by the quick response from the authorities, from Airports Authority of India to Civil Aviation Ministry to the Prime Minister's office about this tweet that I made a few weeks ago appealing to rescue the Leh airport from becoming a bad example of a carbon-intensive airport to a carbon-neutral airport. Secondly, I want to say that I have nobody to blame about this airport design, which was carbon-intensive, because at the time when this design was conceived, maybe 4 years ago, there were very different conditions. For example, carbon neutrality was not an issue. Similarly, there was no grid connection from the national grid to Leh. So perhaps that's why they designed a diesel-intensive airport. But today it is most significant that the Prime Minister has declared Ladakh a carbon-neutral zone. And moreover, the Honorable Prime Minister also announced that India aims to become carbon-neutral by 2070 in COP26 at the international forum. So it is very important that we walk our talk and make this airport an example of that vision. Now, what were not so good in the old design of the airport? Well, first of all, it seems that the airport was not really designed for Leh. Maybe the climate data that they use was not from a place like Leh, because it emphasizes air conditioning in a big way. Roughly 800 kilowatts, close to a megawatt of air conditioning power is envisaged in a place which is very cold, and especially for an airport which functions before noon when it is not hot even in the midsummer. Secondly, for heating in winter, it envisages extra heat from diesel boilers, and not very small, roughly 3 megawatts of boilers burning to give heat, and totally, I think, discounts the whole south facade, which is glazed. And that facade is huge. It is 100 meters by some 10 meters or so, which captures solar energy to the tune of a megawatt. And over a day, it will capture at least 4 megawatt hours of solar energy from the south facade itself. That was not counted. Instead, it was based on diesel to heat the airport. Thirdly, and very importantly, whatever the source of heat, you have to maintain it in a very well insulated building. So the insulation was very weak. In the walls, there was not enough insulation. Under the floor, there was no insulation at all. And on one building, the roof had no insulation over a cement slab. But yes, the main terminal building had a very well insulated roofing, but not flooring and walls. So if you increase and invest in insulation, then your heat source can become smaller. If it is diesel, it can become half or even quarter instead of diesel if you invest in insulation. So what we now propose is that you insulate the building much better. Invest money in insulation so that the heat source can become much smaller. Secondly, the heat source should not be diesel boilers. Completely do away, and with the saved money, you can do other things. For example, the south facade, 4 megawatt hours should be used for heating the airport. And if it is not enough, have solar photovoltaic panels enhanced, larger, so that you use heat pumps. Heat pumps give 3 times more heat than it takes. So it would be a much better way of heating the airport than diesel boilers using heat pumps. Now, thirdly and very importantly, for air conditioning, first of all, you may not need, because it is early hours of the day that the airport functions. And if you need air conditioning, then why diesel generators or even grid electricity? Why not use the groundwater? 100,000 liters of groundwater will be pumped for use in the airport. This 100,000 liters of water comes at 12 degrees centigrade from underground, and 12 degrees is the best thing you could have for air conditioning. So just run it through blowers which will blow the coolth of this water to the airport, and air conditioning will be done free of cost, free of emission by this. And in winter, actually 12 degrees is a very warm temperature, especially in the entry to the airport where people will come from -20. So to avoid a thermal shock with their heavily dressed status, they'll come into a 12 degree, which you can get even from water, the groundwater at the entry. So that should be enough to heat the entry level. And as you go inside and wait for your flight, you have 4 megawatt hours coming from direct sun. So that should be enough. So in all, the good news is that we can still make the Leh airport fully carbon neutral, and not just carbon neutral, thereby eliminating the 10 tons of CO2 daily that the airport otherwise would emit. You can also save roughly 3 to 5 lakh rupees on diesel and other things, and the capital cost of those generators and boilers, by going passive and by going solar. So this is a humble proposal I have kept, and I'm so touched that they have been very receptive at the Airports Authority and the Ministry and the PMO. I'm ever grateful that they have paid heed to this very special place, very disadvantaged yet a place that can become an example. If in this fragile region we walk the talk of carbon neutrality, then surely the Leh airport will become an example for the world. Thank you.